So what's up people, and welcome to another episode of P.A.M.E.L.A. So for today's video, I wanted to cover some locations which I found in Eden 54, which I feel may actually be a good location for making bases. Now this is a topic that was suggested by Garrison 00 or Garrison 00. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce your YouTube name, and I apologize if I mispronounced it, but thank you very much for suggesting this topic. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to cover some rooms that might be good for making bases in all of the major locations such as Ark Medical, Arcadia, Promenade, Origin Station, and the Garrison. I won't be going over Nirvana because I don't know Nirvana that well, but all the other places I just wanted to suggest the rooms. Now the first room is of course the Cryo Station, and the reason I like the Cryo Station is because first of all it's your first spawning point, but also it is a Cryo Station, in which case if you have a cryo core and if you put it in here, you often respawn in this area. And if you make a base right here, then you could immediately re-equip yourself if you ever have to use your cryo core, by putting a lot of weapons and armor in the containers here, so that whenever you run into a problem and you have to respawn, then you can immediately re-equip yourself right here. The other nice thing is because it doesn't have any zombie spawning points, this turns out to be a relatively safe area. And as you noticed, I put a little gate in that doorway, and that prevents the entryway for even enemies such as the Darkseeker. Now, the last nice thing about this area is because the solar chargers work in this location, this turns out to be a relatively practical location for creating a base. Okay, so now moving on, the next location I suggest is the energy transfer relay room that you see in the second floor of Ark Medical. Yeah. The most important reason for that is, of course, because it does have the energy transfer station here. If you decide to make your base here and start your explorations from this room, you could immediately recharge this building before you go on exploration, so that you know that you have a decent amount of time before you need to recharge it again. And yeah, so it turns out to be a really nice area with regard to that. Now, the next room is a similar room to the relay transfer area, but it is in a different floor. Now you'll have to look around for this room. I think it's right outside of the Cryo Station is the one, but make sure that this is the one that has the locked door. The reason I say this is because you can have the ability to jump through this counter here, and if you keep the door locked, then what happens is the Darkseekers have a very difficult time of going through the door. And so these turn out to be really good locations for bases because it prevents the Darkseekers from coming after you in the initial parts of the game when you're not really well equipped. Okay, and the final suggested room in Ark Medical is the central lobby room. The nice thing about this place is it's really big and it's pretty well lit, and it has a lot of containers, and it's very well centrally located. It has a recycle bin, it has a vending machine, so it's really practical. The only thing is that zombies do spawn in here every once in a while. Not too often, but every once in a while you do see a zombie spawning here. Sorry, I'm just trying to yeah. If you can somehow, of course, jump through the counter, that would be pretty good as well. Although I don't think this room is locked in the beginning, so you can't use it like a Darkseeker defense area, because I don't think the room is locked in the beginning. So anyway, you can, of course, if you put a gate here. And overall, it's pretty not too bad. You just have to put a turret inside so that if a zombie does spawn, then it, of course, will take care of the zombie. Okay, so that's Ark Medical. Okay, so the next location is, of course, Arcadia, the location next to Ark Medical. And from my experience, I haven't found particularly any really good areas for bases in the first 2 floors. So we'll be going up the elevator to get to the locations. And the first location is on the 4th floor. And if you have, explored Arcadia, you'll know that the 4th floor is where you have the energy transfer relay. And in fact, this is the room that I was thinking about. Let me just close this. Yeah, so of course you can make this room itself the base if you want to, and of course then you will have the energy transfer relay station inside your base. The only thing is that the zombies do spawn in here, so you do have to be careful once again if you want to do it that way, but it does have a lot of containers. What's nice is there's another room in the back, and I don't think zombies spawn in this room. So if you want to make the majority of your base inside this area, then I think it's a relatively safe area to be for with regards to zombies. Not, of course, with regards to dark seekers, but with regards to zombies, I think that's nice. And the nice thing is, of course, right outside, you have a lot of lockers, and you have, of course, the energy transfer station. And just outside this area is, of course, a recycle bin. So this turns out to be really nice. Once again, just like in that other room, you'll be able to begin any exploration mission by transferring energy to this building. Okay, so the next area is in the 5th floor. And although this isn't probably the best area in Arcadia, it actually is a pretty nice area. It's the Garrison in the back of the 5th floor over here. Once again, it has a narrow doorway, so although the zombies can open the door, if you put a gate right behind it, then they'll have a hard time getting through. And since the gate is behind the door, then of course they would have a difficulty attacking the gate. So I would put a gate in front of the door, gate behind the door, and then you will be in pretty good shape. And just like with the other room, you have you have one additional room here. Yeah, but this one is locked. And I would suggest to use the Garrison only if you can unlock it. There's a cryo core back there. That's interesting. Anyway, yeah, so it has a vending machine. It has a lot of containers. And the vending machine is pretty good because it's the Garrison, which means that you'll get a lot of weapons and stuff to show up there. But yeah, once again, it has a good location. It has good rooms inside and containers. So this is one possibility if you wanted to create a room in the 5th floor. Now the 6th floor of Arcadia possibly has some of the nicest rooms. You do have this blockage here, so you have to jump over that or go up the stairs, one or the other. But you can jump over it relatively easily. And then one of the rooms is, of course, the Ark Medical clinic. It has, once again, some individual rooms in the back, and although they're a little bit crowded, you can put some stuff back here. The other nice thing is, of course, there are all these healing stations here. So if you needed to, you could always jump in and get yourself healed. Again, you could put a little gate protection barrier right at that area and make the base in the back. And then in the front, you have some vending machines. And it's overall a nice area. But moving on, probably the best location for a base is this area. It's called NVYVE. I'm not exactly sure what it is. Overall, what it is the Cryo Station for Arcadia. And let's see. It's in the back here. Oh, there's a Reaper here. Let me take care of the Reaper first. Okay, so the Reaper is dead. And you have to keep on going to the back. As you notice, there's all these side rooms as well, and there's a vending machine in this area, which I think is the cafeteria for this section. But it's really nice. But this isn't the section that I was considering for the base. Where you have to go is one that isn't really obvious. You see that door there? If you basically go right up to it and face plant yourself to the door, then it opens up, and you have this intermediary area. And once you pass through it, then you have this gigantic cryo station. And this is the Arcadia cryo station. So if you have a cryo core, if you put it in here, then basically you could spawn here as well. Now, of course, Arcadia has stronger zombies, so you do have to be careful. The really nice thing about this room is that zombies don't spawn here. And because of that double door at the front, zombies can't come through, robots can't come through, Dark Seekers cannot come through. So if you want an absolutely really safe base, this probably is one of the best ones in the entire city. Now, the only thing I do have to mention is it's in the 5th floor, which isn't always the easiest place to get to. You have to jump over that barrier, and you have to go through that long, narrow corridor outside of this base to get out back out into the Arcadia lobby. And oftentimes, I've often seen a lot of Reapers and Widows right in that corridor. I'm not exactly sure why, but there's oftentimes high-level zombies here. So you do have to go through that gauntlet to get through. But if you really want to, base that you feel absolutely safe in, this is probably the best base to be at. Ooh, okay. And you even get a nice view of the city. Okay, so that's basically about. Oh yeah, there's one more section for Arcadia. So let me show you one other section. So now if you get up to the 7th floor, and actually the 8th floor is very similar, so you could think of it as the same. This is the apartment area for Arcadia. And there's a lot of apartment complexes that are available. Yeah, right here. So, for example, this one, I guess this one's already open. They're relatively nice as far as furnishings is concerned. You have a lot of containers. It's a very big area. You have a lot of rooms. It's relatively well lit, so I think you could find a section for the solar chargers. And, of course, you could put a barrier right at that entryway to prevent anything from coming through. The biggest problem is that it's not the... It's not the nicest area in terms of that there's dead bodies all over the place. So I'm not exactly sure if you would like to have your base littered with dead bodies all over the place. It's kind of, disturbing, I should say, was what I wanted to say with regards to your base. Now, what's interesting is if you go to the 7th floor, what you'll find is one of these apartment complexes, let me just check. Yeah, it's over here, is locked. You see here. And you'll have to find the key code. But if you find the key code, this one doesn't have any dead bodies. So if you really want to make a base in the 7th floor, I would suggest this one. Find the key code, get in there, and then use that apartment because that one's pretty good. It does spawn zombies every once in a while, so make sure you make turrets. But overall, that's a pretty good one to do. Okay, so this brings us to the Promenade, the shopping district of Nirvana. And this is one of my favorite areas of the city. And it actually has one of my favorite base locations. Let me just loot the zombie. And that's this area here, this Genesis station. And the nice thing is it's right outside of the front lobby, so it's very nearby the entranceway. It has the power controller right here, so it's very close if you want to. Whoa! Some unruly neighbors, though, of course, but that you get all over the city. Okay, but yeah, in any case, it is close by. It's well lit. So if you have photosynthetic, it works well. And it has this huge lobby. Now, zombies do spawn here, but you have this big lobby, so you could kind of run around here. You have this big area back here if a zombie spawns back here. And overall, it's not a big deal. You have so much space you can, unless you don't have weapons, you're in pretty good shape. You do have one recycle bin here, so that turns out to be quite practical. And outside, of course, you have a vending machine. So that turns out to be quite practical. And this one's actually a pretty good one. Now the important thing is that of course the Genesis station is where you get all your augments. And the nice thing of course is that you basically have an augment station right in your base. So if you really wanted to, you could start every episode with new augments if you wanted to. I mean, it's not a big deal, but yeah, it's really nice to be able to have this here. Now, there is this central location. If you can find the key code and open it, there's a lot of containers in there, so you could use it as a storage room. But overall, it's pretty good. Now, the really nice part about this base is this area up here. You go up the stairs, and I've never seen a zombie spawn here. And so I keep my base, most of my base up here. As you can see, it's really wide, and you have a lot of area. And yeah, I mean, you could put a lot of turrets in. Let me just turn this on so that I can, yeah. And the nice thing is it's really well lit. So if you make the full power, if you put the building in full power, then you could actually get these solar chargers to work, as you can see. And this turns out to be really good because then you could just charge up all of your solar ion cores right inside your base, and that turns out to be quite useful. Let me just change this one too. And as you can see, I have one gate here up on the stairs, although I've never seen a zombie attack these gates, but even if they do, it's not a big deal. If you want, you could put one gate in the bottom, one gate in the top, and you're pretty much set, And let me just put the ion core we took out in here, like so. And yeah, see, as you can see, it starts charging. So this is a really nice area for making one of your main bases. It may not be one of the minor bases, but I think this is really nice for turning into a main base. Yeah, okay. Let me put the ion core in here. Oh. There we go. Okay. Have one power transmitter ready. And of course, if you go to the back over here, this is where I put the cot and the water condensers and whatever. So it turns out to be quite good. You could make a fairly elaborate base here. Now the one thing is it's close to the lobbyway outside in the second floor. And so if there's zombies nearby, it won't let you sleep. But then all you have to do is basically put a cot down in one of the augment stations there. Just put one cot and you could actually take a nap over there instead, and nobody really goes into that area. And once you come out, if it's the morning, it's really well lit. And the other nice thing about it is that it's not completely nearby, but it's not that far away. If you take a little bit of a jog, you'll notice that right here is the power transfer relay for the Promenade. So just like with the Arcadia's 4th floor or the power transfer relay for Ark Medical, the Genesis station turns out to be really good if you wanted to be able to, recharge the building before you went on your daily exploration. So this is probably one of my favorite locations for a base. And since I do like to spend a lot of time in the Promenade, I tend to make my base in the Genesis station. Okay, so the next area is in the back of the Promenade on the 1st floor. And that is yet another Garrison station. And this is a pretty nice one. It's probably one of the bigger Garrison stations that's outside of the Garrison. And if you notice, there's one back room here which is coded, so you'll have to look for the key code for this one. And you also notice that there's another room that isn't coded. And so you could actually make your base here if you wanted to. You notice that there's a lot of lockers here. And so this turns out to be a good place to store a lot of things. And even if it wasn't your main base, you might want to have a small base here just so that you could store a bunch of med hypos and whatever in case, you run into a situation where you have to quickly get yourself healed, So this could be one of your places where even if it isn't your main station where you're doing crafting or whatever, you might want to put some stuff in here just for a temporary base. And then, protect it with a gate right at the entrance. The only thing that's a problem with this base is it is at the back of the 1st floor, so it does take a while to get there. Okay, so now the next base is very high up. It's on the very top floor of the Promenade. But this is a really nice base. This is the Ark Medical room, and you can make a base here. It's just like the other Ark Medical room, and you have these, healing stations up here. The nice thing is when you get to the fourth floor, this is a little bit, excuse me, I have something in my throat. Yeah, this is a little bit out of the ways here, and so I don't hardly ever see too many zombies running around outside of Ark Medical office. And so, yeah, it's relatively safe. The only problem is you have to run all the way up to the fourth floor to be able to get here. But if you don't mind that, then this is a nice area. It has vending machines. It's really well lit, which probably indicates that the solar chargers will probably work here. If not, then right outside it's really well lit too. So you probably could put your solar chargers in an elevated area where the zombies won't come after you. Now, the final base suggested area is one that a lot of players often use, just reading the forums and stuff like that, and it's this location. I don't know what this location is, but it just happens to be here. It has this barrier. I think zombies and a lot of other things get stopped by that barrier, and because this is a permanent part of this entire map, then I don't think it gets damaged the way. Whoa! What the heck is going on? Well, that was weird. Well, I won't do that again. Anyway, but yeah, this one I hear is a really good section. I've never made a base here, but I've heard a lot of people make their bases here. And once again, it's pretty well lit. You don't have that many containers, but you could put containers in here. And overall, it's a nice area. Once again, it's up on the fourth floor. So you might want to, for example, put one base there and then one base down in the first floor in the Genesis area. And you might be set for the Promenade. Okay, so this brings us to the Origin Station. And there's a few locations in the Origin Station which I found to be useful as a base. Now, the first one isn't really a base location. I kind of tend to think of it as a safe house. You know, oh, it's locked. I haven't opened it for this particular save game series yet. Okay, so let me keep on doing that. It's not a big room. And so I wouldn't make it as a base because you will be completely cramped inside. I don't even know if you could open up a cot in there. However, it has a lot of containers. And this is one of those areas where I don't think the zombies really walk into. And so if you wanted to, the nice thing is it's right near the entrance of the Origin Station from the Promenade. And so, whoa, look at that. Huh. Armory. I think that's for the Garrison at the back, which I'll be showing you later. But in any case, yeah, this has a lot of containers. So if you're, for example, starting out your exploration from the Promenade into the Origin Station, if you want to stock yourself up, or if you're being chased by zombies or got hurt by zombies is the better way to say it, and you're not being chased by zombies, but you need to get your health back, then you could store a lot of things like medi-hypos and stuff like that in here, and it works out pretty well. Now there's this other location here. This one seems a little bit too open, so whoa! Wow! Upgrade kit. That's great. Okay, anyway, yeah, I'm not sure if this area is particularly great for a base. But yeah, the other section, once again, it's near the Origin Station, so that's pretty good. Now, the one other area that's nearby, which might turn out to be good for a base, I've never tried it, but it's this area. This is basically the place where the train comes, if Eden was actually working. This is the docks, the loading platforms, or whatever you want to call it. And zombies do spawn here, as you can see, but it's really well lit. It's really big, and it does have some decent amount of containers. And it is close to the, the entryway of the, to the Promenade. So this turns out to be pretty good. Now, the problem is you can't really move in here. There's an invisible barrier there. But overall, yeah, I mean, this place might be pretty good. The only problem I might have is that the stairway is really wide, so you might have a hard time creating a barrier. But overall, I think this is another good place. Okay, so the next room is probably my favorite room in the Origin Station, and it's back here. You get to the back from the promenade anyway. It's near the entryways from the outside. But if you go all the way back here, then you'll notice this room, and you'll recognize this room, and this is the room that I'm suggesting because let me just get this stuff. I don't want to open any lock boxes up. Yeah, you'll notice that it's the right room if you go in and find the power transfer relay. And just like with the other power transfer relay rooms, this one is good because, of course, you could start up your exploration by charging up the room before you go out. And so this turns out to be very useful. It's quite big. It has a battery backup. There's a few containers outside, and I don't usually see zombies in this little area here. Just outside of here, there's a bunch of zombies, so you do have to be careful. But right back here, I don't see too many, so that turns out to be one good location as well. Now let me go up the stairs, and I'll show you the next one. Okay, so the next or the last room in the Origin Station, which I like, is this Garrison. Now it is out of the way. You do have to go to the very back and go up the stairs from the very back. You can't go up the stairs from the very front. Yeah, you remember that key code that we got in that storage room? I think it's for this room here. So let me open it. Yeah, but anyway, you have this little room here. I don't really need that ion core right now, so I'm just going to leave it here. And it's really narrow, so I'm not sure if you really want to put much in here except maybe a cot. Oh, a butcher's blade. But it is nice. I mean, it does have one little room here. And this entire Garrison is a lot more narrow than any of the other Garrison rooms in the other areas. So I'm not sure how much you want to make this into one of your main bases. Oh, I accidentally purchased that. Oh well. I don't need another arc welder, but
if you need anything,
okay, I purchased it just to salvage it. Well, that was stupid of me. Anyway, yeah, it's a little bit out of the ways, and it doesn't have the space that some of the other bases location suggestions have, but it is nice in the sense that it does have a lot of containers. So just like with the storage room, you might want to use this as a very small safe house rather than a main base. And this brings us to the Oasis, the outside. And there's one location that I wanted to show you. Thanks to Jonathan Rhodes, who suggested this area. He actually suggested that you could put a base up in the roof of this very low building. And I guess you have to jump up on various locations here. But the one place I wanted to show you was here. See, you have to go through this barrier, but the nice thing about the barrier is you could jump through, and probably robots can't get through that easily. So this one is relatively well blocked. I'm not sure, don't take my word for it, but I think that's pretty well blocked. Now, there's a door on the other side, and like an idiot, I unlocked it. But this is typically locked, so if you keep it locked, and if you make the entryway only the front part, then I think this may turn out to be a pretty good base. I don't know if it'll protect you against Dark Seekers, because they can actually spawn inside bases. But if they can't spawn in here, and you might want to just test to find out if that's the case. If they can't spawn inside here, then this may turn out to be a really good place to make a base for the outside. So I don't have too many places in the Oasis for base suggestions, but this one turns out to be pretty good. And so last but not least, this brings us to the Garrison. Yes. Okay, and with the Garrison, I really only make a base in one location. Or I have made the base always in that one location. So I'm not sure if I could suggest too many areas, but I will show you that one location as well as one other possible suggestion that looks pretty good, but I'm not completely sure about that. But the first location is right at the very 5th floor underground. of the garrison. Now when you see floors, you know, first floor, second floor, third floor, you don't go up, you actually go down. And so it goes into the dark underground, and you might think, why would you want to make a base down in the creepy undergrounds? But this actually turns out to be a pretty good place to make a base. So let me suggest it for you. Let me wait. Okay, so take care of this guy. Oh, he just went past. Oh, okay, well, if he's going past, then I'm just gonna let him do so. Maybe I could take him out here. Wow, oh, there's a robot. Okay, well, I don't want to get this robot mad at me, so let me keep on going. Oh, he is dead. Okay, well, anyway, once you get out of the elevator, you turn right, and then you keep... Oh, there's a zombie. Let me keep on going. You keep on going, and you see this wall at the back here, and you go in, and you turn the corner, and you go to the back of the room. There's another zombie here. And you go through the barrier, you go up the stairs, you click on the door, and you go in. Let me close the door. And if you go to the left-hand side here, you see the power transfer relay. And just like with all the other buildings, if you make a base near the power transfer relay, this turns out to be pretty good. Now for the garrison, I especially like it because the garrison is not an easy place to maneuver around. So if you can make the exploration start by putting the power into the building, then this turns out to be quite good. I guess we crashed. Okay, let me let me wait for this to uncrash, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so finally got everything to start being unstuck again. Anyway, so it has containers around here. As you notice, it's this little kind of tiny nook. Oh, there's a zombie here. Yes, zombies do spawn around in this room. So that's why you do have to gate your base. But if you do so, then this turns out to be a very good location. Okay, so moving on, I forgot that there's one other area that turns out to be pretty good, and it's right here, right outside of the level 5 underground elevator. I think we crashed again, but I'm just gonna let this keep on going since I gotta talk anyway. So so I originally said that there was one other area besides the place where I usually make the base, which is that power transfer area. Oh, finally we got unstuck. Okay, but there's two actually areas. As you can notice here, we still are on the level 5 underground. And if you come out of the elevator, there's this doorway right in front of you. And if you go past the doorway, let me just loot this guy. I presume Mr. Robot. Oh. Okay, yeah, rowdy neighbors. You can't get away from the rowdy neighbors. Let me eat this, and then let's keep on going. Okay, so if you get back here, then you notice that there's this little room, this kiosk-looking room over here. And this turns out actually not to be too bad. There's one for each floor, 6th floor underground, 5th floor underground, and maybe 7th floor underground. But the nice thing about the 5th floor underground one is it does have a recycling unit inside here. So you could, wow, get that credits. Yeah, you could recycle your stuff here. And even if you don't make it as a base, this turns out to be a nice room to come to because, of course, it's across the building from the power transfer relay base that I was talking to you about. So whenever I make a base over there, I tend to make a kind of a safe house over here where I could put a lot of stuff, and then I could you know, use this place to kind of basically restock myself and do other things, because as you can see here, there's a lot of lockers. And so, yeah, I mean, the problem with that power transfer relay base, oh, there's a massive reservoir. Yeah, power transfer relay base is that it doesn't have that many containers, and it's kind of a little bit narrow. So if you wanted to make another base over here that has maybe your lockers to store stuff, then that would be pretty good. Let me open this. Oop. There we go. Okay, so anyway, let me keep on going. Okay, and the last possible suggestion that I could do, I never made a base up here, but it looks pretty nice. You do have to go to the upper floor. Wow, this is the first time I'm chasing a zombie. As you can see, it's not the easiest place to get to because you have to go through this narrow corridor full of a lot of zombies. Luckily, I was able to get through here. Maybe they know that I'm making a video and they don't want to, you know, bother me. But it's this place. It's a warden's office. Oh, there's a... Is that a widow? Yeah, that's a widow. Let me take care of the widow. I don't want to be ambushed while I'm trying to give you a tour of that room. Actually, I don't think I can give you a tour of that room because I think it requires a key code. Let me take care of this lady. Come on, go down. Come on. Oh, finally. Okay. Oh, had a repair kit. Okay, well, I didn't... I'm just glad none of the other zombies were willing to come here. Now, you do have to find a key code, as I was mentioning. And I did find it in previous save game series, but not in this one. But this is the warden's office. It's really big. And it looks really nice. It's well lit. It's very clean. It has a lot of containers. You can see a turret. And I think there's also a cryo core in there. But yeah, if you don't mind the fact that there's a big door that you have to defend in the very front here, and the moment you unlock it, you potentially have the possibility of zombies coming in, so you do have to defend this door. Then this turns out to be a very nice area because of course it's bright, so you could put solar chargers and stuff like that in here. Now the biggest problem is, again, you have this narrow corridor, so every time you start your exploration, you basically have to clear all these zombies in the narrow corridor area. As you can see, some of them are like Reapers and Widows. Anyway, so that's basically the Garrison suggestions. Okay, well, back to Ark Medical. Those are some of the suggested rooms that you might want to try to make your bases in. Again, P.A.M.E.L.A isn't really a base building game. It's not like Minecraft or some of these games where you spend a lot of time crafting and making gigantic castles. Your bases are mostly kind of there to help you explore. You're mostly a nomadic explorer in this game. But in any case, some places are good for bases. They're not the absolute best, the ones that I suggested here. They're just my suggestions. If you find a good location, hey, go for it, you know. But anyway, I thought that this might be helpful for what I feel are good bases. And I thank you very much for watching the video. Let me just kind of take care of this location here. Okay, in any case, we'll continue on with more P.A.M.E.L.A videos in the future. I hope you join us at that time. If you have any comments, please post them in the comments section below. Until the next video, I wish you all the best. Happy hunting, happy exploring, happy surviving. And as always, Jaya, nice day, everyone.